and welcome to Stretford Paddock. It is Tuesday, the 5th of May, 2020. I'm here for the paper talk this morning, and we're going to be looking at a few different transfers. We've got quite a bit of news to get through this morning, so let's get right into it. It's going to be very quick, very short, sharp, succinct news right from the horse's mouth. First up then, actually very first up, I would like to thank Ado Foley for becoming a member of the academy here at Stretford Paddock. Thank you very much for joining me. If you want to join, click the join button. You can do all that stuff through there. Very good. Thank you very much, mate. How's everyone doing this morning? How are you at home? Oh, it's another day in paradise, isn't it? Another day in paradise. I'm in the studio again today. Internet's still not working at home, so, you know, that's how it is. Let's get into the first story of the day then, and we're going to be looking at Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, and this one is coming out of Italy, Calcio Mercato, who it seems like a strange publication to me because sometimes they seem like they're absolute rubbish and they're just sort of Daily Express, Daily Star, who really cares, it's all nonsense, it's all nothing. And then other times they've got Fabrizio Romano writing for them. And you just sort of think, I'm not, you know, I guess it's one of those publications where they have certain good columnists and certain people aren't so good, so it's always hard to kind of tell with them. But this is where that story is coming from. And they're talking, like I said, they're talking about the replacement of Paul Pogba. Again, it's just, I must admit, I'm half sick of it at this point, the Paul Pogba stuff. I just kind of want to know either way what's going on. I think we'll probably find out when the transfer window opens if United are making it clear that they want an attacking midfielder or a box-to-box midfielder that he probably is leaving. And if he's staying, then we won't be after that kind of player. So it's going to be hard. Hopefully we're not stuck in that situation where we've told Pogba he can leave if a right offer comes in, and then that right offer doesn't come in until the very end of the transfer window, and we're stuck with no Pogba and no replacement. But let's look at a potential replacement first. Like I said, this has been reported by Calcio Mercato, and they're actually touting a couple of signings that Solskjaer has his eye on. Solskjaer has eye on two midfield signings. Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to bring in two new midfielders this summer and has made his wishes clear to the club's money men. Money man, according to reports. With Paul Pogba's future continuing to attract plenty of publicity, it was reported by Sport over the weekend that Solskjaer was willing to let the midfielder leave to the highest bidder and has already identified Donny van der Beek. So here's the other name mentioned here as their number one target to replace him in the side. As per the article, the Ajax midfielder is very much appreciated by their coaching and scouting staff and they feel he would have an immediate impact on the Premier League. Now, we've talked about United's interest in Donny van der Beek before. That's also been mentioned by a few other publications. I think The Athletic mentioned that before as well. The idea of someone who's a bit more of an all-round midfielder. Van der Beek, obviously, very good going forward as well. As per report, United have held talks over a prospective deal to sign the Netherlands international. And then it says further on, United are also said to have rekindled their interest in signing Serbian star Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. But it seems as though Lazio are sort of holding for a high price and not quite keen to sell. It's a strange one, Savic, as well. According to Calcio Mercato, United have also asked about a deal to sign the Serbian replacement as a replacement for Pogba, but their stance makes any deal more difficult and more costly than a package for Van der Beek. So there's two names being mentioned, as we said. It's weird because I'm sure United have got many transfer targets lined up. Grealish, we've got Savic, we've got Van der Beek, we've got all these different people of all sort of different numbers on the list in terms of who we want to sign. But it's just, Milinkovic-Savic is a weird one to me because he was so highly rated a couple of years ago when he was sort of 21 years old. This sort of 6'3" kind of second Pogba almost. He's got great touch for a big man, all that classic cliche stuff. But really good touch, good work rate, good energy, good engine, gets a few goals as well. He was sort of, like I said, touted as this next Paul Pogba. And then he seems to have dropped off and dipped a little bit. And all these big names, and Juventus were linked with him, and City were linked with him, and United were linked with him. And all of those reports and those links seem to have sort of fallen away in recent years. Which is why I'm sort of quite surprised that United are back in from him, are interested in him again. So Spider-Man saying SMS, a tall, slow, overrated midfielder. Well, Matic is sort of tall and slow, and obviously maybe he's past his best now, but I don't think being tall and slow or slowish is necessarily such a terrible thing. Isn't it all a bit chicken and egg at the moment? We can't clarify who the transfer targets will be until we know if we've got top four. I don't place top four as being this sort of the highest kind of barometer of who we will sign. I think it's more who's leaving than if we get top four.
I think if Paul Pogba stays, although maybe getting top four will change whether Pogba stays or not, but I think it's more, is Pogba going? Can we get rid of Sanchez? Is Smalling going? Is Jones going? Is Rojo going? Because there were talks as well that United were after another centre-back. And again, we've got loads of centre-backs. So the only reason we would need another one is if loads are leaving. So there's quite a few positions where I think we're waiting to see who we can get rid of in the case of Sanchez, and who wants to go in the case of Paul Pogba. A lot of the stories are the same as the last transfer window. Pagey, you're very much correct. But I think one of the things is, hopefully, there's two options with that. One is it's sort of lazy journalism by Calcio Mercato or the people that were reporting, and they're just sort of rinsing the old names. The other option is United have got long-term targets now. And I know in the case of Sanchez that is true, that they did want him last summer, and they were like, okay, we'll wait till next summer. I know for a fact that that's true. So in that regard, the reason Sancho has come back up is because we did decide to take this sort of long-term approach to signing him, have one more year at Dortmund, and then we'll come in this summer. In the case of someone like Bruno Fernandes, we were linked with him last summer, that fell away, and we were linked with him again in January, and you sort of think, just digging up the old, and then we signed him. So sometimes, United take a little bit longer. We do seem to have a bit less of this scattergun approach to signing whoever is available, like we saw with Falcao and Di Maria and those sorts of players like Schweinsteiger. It does seem as though we do have a bit more of a concerted effort to sign in specific players, and we will wait until those players are available, and we won't sign anyone if they aren't. So hopefully the reason a lot of these names have recycled and we've seen them coming back from last summer or coming back from January is because they are targets that we've decided we want, and we will wait to get them when they're available. That's the optimist in me there. Who's a better all-round player, Martinelli or Greenwood? Well, I mean, so far Greenwood, obviously, isn't it? I'm not saying that you can't see someone's career through a magic ball, a glass ball, but I mean, obviously Greenwood's been better so far. Let's move on to our second story then. Like I said, we've got loads of news today, loads of stuff coming in, and this is sort of a 1A to the Pogba-Savic story, and again from Calcio Mercato. This is talking about United set to offer a discount on Paul Pogba. Man United are prepared to sell the French midfielder Paul Pogba for a much lower than they'd like, with Juventus still interested. The report details how the Red Devils know that the 27-year-old Frenchman, whose current contract expires at the end of next season, won't be signing a contract renewal with the club. See, again, slightly disingenuous there, because his current contract does end next season, but United have an option to extend it, which of course they will in order to get more money for a potential transfer. He essentially has 2 years left on his deal, so this is basically sort of truncating that contract in a way that is suitable for their story of United. We have to sell him for cheap because he's only got a year left. He's actually got 2 years left if United want to extend it, which of course they would. This means that unless they sell the 2018 World Cup winner over the next 2 transfer windows, he could leave on a free transfer next summer. I'm going to get rid of that article because that's rubbish. He won't be leaving on a free transfer next summer. Like I said, he's got another optional year. So I'm not even going to read it. You're going to write shit. You get panned, mate. That's what I'm going to say to you. Next story. This is a bit more, seems a little bit more certain. This one's coming from the Manchester Evening News, and this is about Sunderland 16-year-old midfielder Joe Hugill. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of him. United are close to finalising a deal for Sunderland youngster Joe Hugill. The MEN understands United have been working on a £300,000 move for Hugill, brackets 16, in recent months, and fought off competition from Tottenham, Arsenal, Wolves and Leeds. German clubs also expressed interest in Hugill, although he did not receive an offer from any German clubs. Hugill does not turn 17 until October and could be named among United's academy intake for the 2021 season. The striker scored a hat-trick for Sunderland in the FA Youth Cup, and Hugill netted a brace on his under-23s debut. So, yeah, it looks like a youth team signing may well be going through there. You kind of feel sorry for Sunderland because I think their under-23s are bottom of the league and their under-18s are bottom of the league and haven't won a game. I think they've lost every game they've played this season. And United is sort of pinching even more of what seems to be already a very much diminished pool of players there. But I suppose, that's one of the problems that they have. Sunderland are in the sort of position where 300 grand, that's probably good for them. They probably need 300 grand. That might, that'll pay a few backroom staff their wages for the year, or that'll pay for the pitch to be treated for a few months, or that kind of thing. I guess the model they've turned towards in recent years is more of we need to get money where we can. So you kind of feel sorry for him, but at the same time, I think that's just the way football is, isn't it? Which is slightly unfortunate, I must say. But yeah, Joe Hugill there, striker, seemingly a hot prospect, 16 years old. Obviously, I don't know too much about him. I'll tell you how little I know about him and how little everyone seems to know about him. If any of you fancy doing this, or you don't have to because I'm just going to tell you, Google Joe Hugill and go on Google Images. There is one picture of him that has been like cut out and spliced and used. It's this picture. See that picture there? It's that picture. And that is the only picture of him that exists on Google Images. So, it's fair to say he's very much a sort of a fringe player, and like we said, just got a hat-trick in his under-23 debut, so he's only just sort of stepped up to that next level, but a 16-year-old playing for under-23s is pretty impressive. Haven't they lost 33 games or something? They've lost every game they've played at under-18s level, or at least they had. I was talking to David Pritt on one of the youth reviews about Sunderland. If you want to check that out, that's a good video. They're always very good, those youth reviews with Dave. But we were talking about Sunderland there, how their academies have just sort of pretty much collapsed in terms of quality, and they've lost it. The under-18s has lost every single game, and the under-23s are bottom of the league and have won a very, very small amount. So they're clearly struggling there. Amazing how buying this guy is cheaper than 5 Days of Sanchez. The 5 Days of Sanchez, of course, was the draft song version for a Chilean 12 Days of Christmas. Never got seen in the charts, but it had some very strong lyrics. Surely we won't waste money on a defender when we need much more higher up the field. Is all the talk about centre-backs just space filling? I think United would like another centre-back. It's clear that I think Eric Bailly is difficult to trust physically. I think whilst he's a good player and he's been good for United, I think it's problematic how often he's injured. I think Victor Lindelof isn't seen as a world-class centre-back, and I think if we're one Harry Maguire injury away from, you've got Lindelof playing, and then a rotating cast of semi-permanently injured players alongside him. I think the fact that Maguire has been so consistent, both in terms of his performance and just being available for selection, has kind of masked some of the weaknesses we have at centre-back. I think we've got a good amount of players, but I don't actually think, we're only a couple of injuries or, away from... If Lindelof and Maguire get injured next season, you're playing Eric Bailly if he's fit and Phil Jones, or Twanzebe if he's fit and Phil Jones if he's, see for yourself, we're pretty thin really in that regard. You need 4 regularly available top-class players, or certainly 2 top-class players, and then a couple more sort of maybe of Lindelof quality that can come in when those aren't playing or when they need to be rested, and I think at the moment we actually aren't there. I don't think it's a priority. As we were talking about before, Laurie Whitwell and The Athletic were reporting that United fancied a centre-back this summer, but I wouldn't... My guess is that centre-back isn't United's top priority, top of the list in terms of what we want in the summer, but of course, we'll have to wait and see. Next story then. Told you there's loads of stories today. Bloody hell, 4 stories. You lucky devils, you at home, aren't you? Wolves players to return to the training ground on May the 11th. Oh, right then. Okay, so what? How is that possible? Strict social distancing measures will be in place at the Sir Jack Hayward training ground in Compton, straight out of Compton, west of Wolverhampton. Wolves first-team players will return to training next week for individual sessions and fitness training. Wolves boss Nuno Espirito Santo, together with players Ruben Neves, Leander Dendoncker, Ruben Viernegre, and Jean Moutinho are due to report back for training on May the 11th. So it's not full teams back, let's play a game, let's play 11-a-side matches in training. It's coming back for specific bits of training, but this is the first sort of wave of leaving lockdown. There's been a lot of sort of rumours going on, hasn't there? Obviously, Gary Neville mentioned these rumours about the June 8th being the return date for the Premier League, that no one seems to be holding their hand up and saying, we came up with that decision. I don't know if a lot of you saw that, but I'm sure most of you did. There's also been a lot of rumours of people going back to work this Monday, the 11th. Again, it's all sort of behind the scenes. Have you heard this? Have you heard that? It's almost as though that these things are being leaked or these things are being rumoured to gauge the public reaction before they are then implemented. And obviously Wolves have taken the step here by announcing that certain players will be going back to training and that they are, officially going to be leaving lockdown and that sort of thing. But it seems as though, and again, this is just sort of rumour mill stuff, that we may be coming to that sort of first phase of who can go back outside, who can do a bit of this, who can do a bit of that. Obviously, there's been no official reports on that at the moment, but again, Wolves coming back to training is the first significant step in terms of football coming back. We've seen, though, in Germany, who initially said they'd like to come back to football this weekend, have now most likely put that back for another couple of weeks. I think there's been 10 club staff, whether that be players or behind-the-scenes players in the Bundesliga that have been confirmed with coronavirus. I think 3 more players yesterday who were tested amongst 1,000 other tests that were completed in the last couple of days have been confirmed positive. They've shown no symptoms at all. They just sat at home. So there's going to be a hell of a lot of people being tested, a hell of a lot of people confirmed as positive who didn't even know they had it. And it all just seems like, are we rushing this a little bit? But I suppose at some point you have to try to reignite the economy, reignite all these different things. Give the video a like, please, if you enjoyed it. And actually, even if you haven't enjoyed it, hit the like button so hard that it hurts me. Try and do that. Oh, I fucking hate this guy. Like. Thank you. That'd be great. That helps us out. So Molineux can be the first neutral ground, perhaps. I'm not sure. Bring back Smalling, someone says there. I think he's probably our 4th best defender, isn't he? Or 5th best. I don't know. We've got a lot. Will Henderson go back to Sheffield United for the current season if this goes ahead? Could see us not allowing it, as it would benefit us getting the Champions League. Would it benefit us getting the Champions League? As in taking away one of their better players rather than him coming to play for us? I think he probably will. I think there'll be a sort of I like to think there will be a kind of a goodwill around contracts, even though by law and by employment law there is literally nothing that says you have to keep playing for this club after your contract is over. I don't think any of these contracts will have a pandemic clause in them that allow you to keep playing. I think if anyone does continue past the June 29th or June 30th contract end dates, I think that is all goodwill and you can have them for a bit longer, or I'm willing to play for a bit longer, rather than any kind of, enforceable law, because there just isn't one as far as I'm aware. Anyway, that's going to be all from me. We're going to be back for a podcast this afternoon with Alex and some great guests on there as well, so make sure you check that out at 4 o'clock. Someone just says sign Ozil. No. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you all have a great 5th of May. I'm glad that May the 4th be with you behind us, aren't you? God, I hated that. Right, that's going to be all. See you next time.